I would introduce your first speaker for today. It's Dani Scuteri from City of Charles Sturt it's just her. City of Charles Sturt Council. She's a project officer in the area of public health and safety. Got it. Yeah. And she's going to speak to you about the experience that they've had in Charles Sturt, which, as you've heard from previous speakers, can be different than other council areas. So, here we go, Dani.
Thank you. So basically, in the City of Charles Sturt, we have approximately 15,000 registered dogs with basically a range and a variety of breeds. The living arrangements with these dogs vary from high density, which we've recently seen, to quite large properties. Our pet owners also range from different cultural backgrounds, socio-economic areas and ages. As to most other councils within the City of Charles Sturt, we deal with a range of animal management issues, which include dogs wandering at large, barking dog complaints, dogs being off-lead in designated dog-on-lead areas, cat complaints and dog attacks and harassments. Of all these listed, the most devastating and hardest to deal with are the dog attacks and harassments on either another dog or pet or on a human. My role within the City of Charles Sturt is to write and implement the animal management plan, which includes addressing key issues surrounding animal management in the City of Charles Sturt. As such, during this process, I work quite closely with the officers who provide field experience and input in relation to all of our animal management issues. One issue which is most difficult to deal with in terms of loss and acceptance, especially for the dog owners, is the issue of dog attacks. To identify proactive ways to deal with this issue, 4 years ago, in partnership with the University of Adelaide and Susan Hazel, a study was conducted to identify the risk factors which contributed to dog attacks within the City of Charles Sturt. This study was done over a period of 3 years to ensure we had identified the trends and also eliminated any discrepancies. The 3 reports were done by honours and vet students. The only contributing factor which was reported across these 3 years was non-D-sex dogs being involved in more attacks. Therefore, on average, dogs that were not D-sexed were 50% on average more likely to attack in reported attacks on both other dogs and pets and on other humans, other people. We could therefore clearly see the main risk factor in dog attacks were non-D-sexed dogs. As a result, we developed education programs concentrating on promoting the importance of de-sexing. The study also highlighted the importance of dog attack reporting. We had discovered that although when speaking to local vets, it was evident that in-home attacks, so by to own dogs, was very common, our system did not show one such case reported. This is something we're still working on and hoping to build relationships within our community to encourage such reporting, mainly to ensure that these dogs are not rehomed and that the new dog owners are unaware of the dog's past. The result from this study has given us the tools to focus on being proactive in dealing with dog attacks and hopefully address these factors before an attack even takes place. However, this can be extremely difficult and it is not mandatory to de-sex your dog, and we can only utilise education and encouragement as tools to aid in prevention. In relation to other animal management issues within the City of Charles Sturt, we utilise education and encouragement as preventative tools as well as our bylaws. Apologies, my screen's just stopped, but that's okay. Our such instance is dealing with a number of dogs with increased high-density living arrangements in the City of Charles Sturt. I apologise, I'm having some technical difficulties here. One moment, sorry. Backups here, apologies.
Help has arrived.
I did test this many times.
Beauty of technology.
Again, apologies. go back. Just have to adjust my eyes. Okay, so basically in relation to animal management issues with the City of Charles Sturt, we utilise education and encouragement, like I said, as preventative tools as well as our bylaws. One such instance when dealing with the number of dogs with increased high density living emerging in the City of Charles Sturt. So with the introduction of the bylaw, we limit the number of dogs to small premises to only one dog. So basically without a permit, within the City of Charles Sturt, for small premises, only one dog is allowed. This in turn has given us the ability to address barking dog complaints in high density living, as well as excess dog complaints. In finishing, in the City of Charles Sturt, we aim to address most customer concerns relating to animal management with proactive approaches and by utilising educational events such as Doggy Day at the Beach, microchipping days and creative problem solving. Thank you.
You just you should mention that.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks, Dani. Questions? Yeah, do you want the mic? Oh, do we need it? Yell it out.
In that statement you made then, you said that in dog attacks that there was 50% of dogs were undesexed.
On average.
On
On
average.
average.
Yep.
How can you say that that means that non-desexed dogs are any more liable to attack than desexed dogs if it's 50-50?
So basically, of the dogs that had already attacked, so what we looked at, the data that we looked at was the dogs that had already been involved in attacks. So of those dogs that had been already involved in attacks, the dogs that were most likely to attack were entire dogs or non-desexed dogs. And on average, it was actually 50% more likely. So we're only looking at data where dogs were already involved in an attack. I'm happy to share this data as well. So it's very complex. Susan Hazel can probably, yeah.
Do you want me to just add
Sure.
so they understand what we've done?
Thanks,
Out of all dog attacks, not just repeat dog attacks,
Yes.
all dog attacks,
Yes.
have you got a percentage of what was desexed and what was undesexed?
What we've done, so it's a standard epidemiological method for analysing risk factors. So we have the population of registered dogs that were involved in an attack, and we've compared them to the 15,000 registered dogs. You need to do that to know if it's a significant risk factor. So there's an over proportion of dogs that are not desexed involved in an attack versus the registered dog population. It means that there was between a 50 to 70% increase in risk of being involved in a dog attack, both to humans and to other animals, if the dog was not desexed. If that makes it clearer.
Does that sort of clarify it?
Yep.
And this is only relating to the City of Charles Sturt because the study was only done there.
Did you say that in the City of Charles Sturt you can only have one dog?
Now, basically, what I'm talking about is the limit of dogs relating to property size. So our bylaw currently, which has only been implemented in 2004, new bylaws, they can only, for small premises, you can only have one dog without a permit.
If you're moving into a small premises in Charles Sturt, how do you know that you 5 dogs can't move in with you?
Sure. So basically, within the City of Charles Sturt, if you're moving into a new property, what we try to do is we send all new property owners and all new residents kits, and within that we've actually got a new dog owners kit which outlines this information also. So if you do contact City of Charles Sturt to ask us, we'll also let you know that. Most dog owners are really good, and they'll actually contact us and say, look, I've got 5 dogs and I'm moving into a 2-bedroom unit, what can I do? And if they've already got these dogs and they're moving, then we'll obviously work with them. We're not going to say, no, you have to get rid of 4 dogs. We will work with them to see how we can accommodate the rest of
Do you
these
have
dogs.
dog parks in your...
Absolutely, yeah. We've just recently built a brand new dog park as well. But we've also got a pooch park, we've got a puppy park which focuses on dogs up to 12 months of age. Yeah, and we've also just built a brand new dog park which focuses on an area for active dogs and quieter dogs as well.
Okay, Michael?
Do you have a problem with cats in your area? we're focusing on dogs and what you were talking about.
Beautiful.
What's the-
Yeah, in relation to cats in the City of Charles Sturt, we basically have a free cat cage campaign, so I'll talk a little bit about that as well. And we've also got a bylaw relating to our cats. The number of cat complaints that we receive yearly, because we did look at and research what's the best way to handle these complaints, are actually quite small in comparison to what we would have to, if we, for example, introduced cat registration, we would have to spend quite a large amount of ratepayers' money in order to implement a process which wasn't warranted for the number of cat complaints. So what we currently do is we provide free cat cages. So if somebody has a cat complaint problem and they identify that it is not an owned cat, they can actually get a free cat cage and take that cat to the AWL. We also, our officers will take these complaints, and if there is a problem between neighbours relating to cats, we will go out there and deal with it. If they are stray and feral cats, then we will do the trapping ourselves.
Was there any? I live in Henley Beach, City of Charles Sturt. Abandoned house next door, feral cat colony. 6 months of my life affected by it. Called the council, they dropped into a cage. I'm on a disability support pension, I don't drive, I can catch the cat, but what am I going to do with it now?
We do have a pension assistance program that also includes, obviously not just elderly, but disabled and anyone that are unable to take the cats there themselves, and the officers will take the cats there down themselves as part of that program.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What's your success rate at training?
That's quite difficult. When you're talking about feral cats, stray cats,
So
yes,
the
sorry.
question, just maybe repeat the question. Can you do
What's
it?
our success rate in trapping?
Yeah.
So I would have to look at our systems to answer that specifically, but I can say in most instances where, like this gentleman, if he called up, we would be working with them until they were satisfied, so that we would get rid of all of the cats. We do sometimes deal with boarding issues as well, which sometimes can repeat themselves. So if somebody does have, for example, 10 cats, we have worked with them to maybe keep 2 or 3 with a permit, and we'll also try to help them desex those cats so they can have the cats that they're quite attached to, but the rest of them are not making an issue. And we've had quite a bit of success working with our environmental health team doing that as well.
So if you'll help someone have 5 cats on their property, how come 5 cats is not like one? If 5 dogs is too much, how come 5 cats is not too much?
We're not saying it is too much. We've given people permits for that amount of cats before. I can tell you an instance where in Charles Sturt we've got one lady that's got 10 cats that are beautifully owned, all desexed, all have a cat run, none of them leave the property. So we definitely do work with people individually and do it case by case basis. We're not going to say cats are different to dogs because they're not. Animal management, so we look at it when I'm talking about that, so they're not different, the way that we deal with it. So hope that addresses your
Can I ask one last question about that?
Of course, if I have
So the council treats in that responsibility way, it treats cats and dogs basically the same?
When we're talking about the number of dogs and cats that are owned on the property, when we're talking about tax and things like that, obviously there's different legislation. When we're talking about if you are a dedicated cat owner and you have 3 cats and I have 3 dogs, an officer will address your situation individually and my situation individually, but you will not be discriminated against because you have a cat. Does that sort of clarify it, Cody?
Yeah, it does.
Does Charles Sturt have a trap use and release program? I think I remember that you had a problem with colony cats.
Trap and release, sorry?
Trap use and release.
No, we don't. If you're talking about rock cats, which was an issue, I believe, quite before my time, like 10 or so years ago, unfortunately, I'm unable to comment because that was quite before my
But
time.
no trap use and release.
No.
No question up the back.
You mentioned there's far fewer complaints about cats.
Yes.
What other complaints you have and what bylaws you have? So I think my point is you've probably got a horrible bylaws that
Yep.
don't make a complaint. There you go. So therefore we get 0 about cat.
Yeah.
That's what you're ringing up, going, two cats fighting out my window all last night, what can you do about it?
Yeah, so our bylaws in relation to cats have a limit of cat numbers. So we
So
don't
you've got
have...
very little complaints because there's nothing you're asking anyone for to
Possibly.
manage.
Possibly. We do deal with all complaints that come through. So if you called up and said, I've got some cats that are fighting outside my window, are they owned cats? If they are, we will go to speak to, we use education and encouragement. So we will go and speak to the cat owners if we can identify who they are. If we can't, we do things like letterbox drops of the area and to encourage people to keep their cats inside. Yeah.
But I think about it next time, it's going to bring up two cats, and I have two cats, you know, there's something about that. So my neighbour's dog, I noticed in that yard,
Yeah.
So I find that argument out very good, it makes their cats versus dogs. And you've got, you're not tracking attention, I think you've got advice.
Cats don't attack people, so.
It's right there.
I was going to say, yeah.
Playing with my cat.
Any more questions?
And he got the better of me.
Yeah, so what's the arguments in your council for or against registering of cats?
Yeah, so basically, that's a really good question. We did a lengthy report, and what the gentleman was saying here, we looked at the number of complaints that we received relating to cats, cat complaints, and we also looked at how much it would actually cost the ratepayers and dog owners, and I guess eventually cat owners as well, if we did implement registration, how much it would actually cost to implement cat registration. So we needed to outweigh financially to make sure that it was feasible for the residents of the City of Charles Sturt. And we found that basically we could not warrant enough complaints in order to introduce cat registration. So the other thing is, I'm not sure how much you're aware of cat registration, but the only way that I'm aware of at this stage that cat registration can take place